Hello YouTube, my name is Nick, and today I have a long overdue album review to bring for you today of this album right here. This is Nekro by K.F.R, released by Misanthropic Art Productions. So before I talk about the album, I kind of want to say a few words about the man behind this project, Maxime Taccardi. He was an actual artist before he became a musician, and he does all of his own album artwork. And as you can see, he has a pretty evil, twisted style of artwork. And he wanted to make music that was a companion piece to this. And to say that his music is evil is the understatement of the century. So I guess I'll talk a little bit about how I discovered K.F.R. I was listening to a song off this album, Negative Ways of Life by Black Whispers. I love this artwork, by the way. And I saw the artwork of this album, Anti, which is K.F.R's first album, in the YouTube recommendation bar. I was like, that artwork looks pretty freaking evil. So it was the last song on the album that I listened to. I was like, alright, I like this. And I did a little bit more research on K.F.R, and I was like, this is the most evil band project I've ever heard. So I guess I'll talk a little about the music now that I'm done rambling. So I want to talk about the production first. It's a very unique production. I'm going to try to put this into words the best way I can. It's like you and Maxime are in a little bubble, and around this bubble there is a nuclear war happening. And Maxime has you by the neck, and he's right in your face. And I say this because the guitars and the drums are very plosive, and at some points on the album there are literal explosions that could probably make you soil yourself. And it sounds like Maxime's right in front of you, because compared to everything else in the mix, which is a little rough and rugged sounding, the vocals are very far pushed forward in the mix, and it sounds very realistic, because at some points you can even tell there's not even a pop filter on the mic, so it really does sound like he's kind of there, and it makes it that much more evil and cringy sounding sometimes. So one thing I do want to say is that the guitars and the drums kind of work together. There's nothing to stand out of each that's like really impressive, other than I will say that the guitars have a extremely unique tone and riffing pattern. Some points you get the really fast black metal riffs. Sometimes it will get almost heavy slow riffs when everything slows down a little bit. And it'd be really interesting to see how the drums are recorded, because somehow like the toms sound like explosions and everything else kind of sounds weird. It's almost impossible to put into words how some of the instrumentals sound on this album. So another thing, it's a very keyboard oriented album, but it's not like a cheesy noodly kind of keyboard. It's some of the most evil sounding things that I've ever heard done with like keyboards and synthesizers. On the last song, before I start this, it's worth mentioning if there are no song titles. There's an intro and there's song 1 through 7. There's no song titles. So on the 7th, or track 8, or song 7, because there is one intro at the beginning, there's a sound and a moment that is probably the most evil, cringy thing I've ever heard. You kind of get this little keyboard synthesizer driven thing, and then there's a giant freaking explosion, and it almost sounds like the sound from the robots from War of the Worlds, like that little siren thing they make, and it's just so freaking evil sounding that it just chills me up sometimes. It's just so good. And the most important thing about K.F.R has to be his vocal style. Sometimes you'll get like almost suffocating, like asphyxiating, choking croaks. Sometimes you'll get these ear-piercing screeches. You'll get some growls here and then. There's a guest vocal appearance from the guy from Drowning Light on song 3, I think. And you just have to hear it for yourself to see how evil this stuff is. I think that's about all I'm going to say about the album. But in my opinion, Maxime is single-handedly spearheading the reinvention of the genres of black metal, dark ambient, harsh noise, electronic, experimental. He's probably the single most important metal musician going these days, in my opinion. It's not for everybody. It is a little rough. It's very, very evil, very cringy sometimes. I'm trying to get a hold of all of his stuff. I have Nekro, I have Anti, I have the Lunatic Meditations tape, which is limited to 100, I think. And I just got this like 3 days ago. This is the split he did with Old Burial Temple, and that art is just so good. So I'll probably leave a link in the description to where you can check out K.F.R. I am almost certain you cannot buy this anymore. This is like a 7-inch folder style, and it is, if you can see it, signed in his blood, MT. He signs a lot of his albums in his own blood. Anti is also signed in his blood. Just shows how devoted he is to his craft. He's just an amazing dude. He puts out a lot of music, actually. He hasn't been around for a long time, and he has a couple albums. I was not fortunate enough to get Death March. It was a very limited run. I think it was only like 30 copies or something, and I really wish I could have got that, but maybe someday when it'll be for sale. But I think that's going to be the end of this. I'm going to try to put out videos a little more frequently, because it's been a little rough trying to get videos out. I started working a lot. So maybe every Monday or every other Monday I'll try to put out a video. But 100% go check out K.F.R. Even if you don't like it, you should at least look at it, because he is the future and the present. So that's the end of this video, and I'll see you next time.